Okay, it's Tuesday morning. Let's do a video about karma. Particularly, we're going to talk about sidestepping karma. This is the idea that you can pretty much outwit or outrun your karma or get away from it. Okay. In order to talk about this, we should go into some of the more mainstream enlightenment practices, particularly Buddhism, the way it was first taught. The assumption in Buddhism right off the bat is that you have lots of karma to work out. Okay, this is the tradition that Buddhism came out of all the various Hindu traditions and Vedanta and things like that. And the mistaken assumption in those traditions, this is my opinion, okay, is that the karma that you have is something that has spent millions of years, if not longer, becoming what it is today. And that this millions of years of karma needs to now be worked through. And in that perspective, then the idea is that it's going to take you many, many lifetimes to work through it all, because there's so much conditioning. It's so ingrained. You're so stuck, that sort of mentality. So the idea is you spend many lifetimes working through all these images, all these traumatic scenarios, all of this evolutionary trauma that you have supposedly accumulated as a biological being, okay? And once you've worked through all that karma, then you'll be free and clear. And so the Buddha was somebody who had spent innumerable lifetimes meditating and practicing various techniques and things like that, until finally, after maybe the thousandth generation or lifetime, he became the Buddha and became finally dropped the external persona and just became what he was. Okay. There's some truth to that, but in later teachings of Buddhism, we have the schools of Tantra that have emerged, okay? And the schools of Tantra will insist that even if your karma has been going on for thousands and thousands of years or millions of years, a single glimpse of enlightenment can wipe it out. So you can cut through it in seconds. It doesn't take eons and eons and generations or lifetime after lifetime. You can do it now. Okay? So this is sounds like a more worthwhile philosophy if it works. So let's talk about what karma is. Okay? The standard notion of karma is that if you do something bad, then the universe gets mad at you and then hits you back. You hit the universe, it hits you back. Okay? This is the standard notion of karma, and in fact, in the lower forms of magic, okay, it is viewed that way. So when you have the Wiccan traditions asserting that whatever you send out, you get back times 3. So it's going to be 3 times as bad for you as it was for the people you supposedly are causing suffering for. Okay? No. Okay? So karma could probably better be described as simply a tendency for what you have already done to continue. Okay? It's not a matter of you being punished by the universe. It might seem like that, but what karma actually is a sense of momentum. It's something that you have done that's going to keep on happening in various ways because you've already engaged in that activity. In this sense, karma is unidirectional. It only goes in one direction. Okay, so if you are going to do something that is self-destructive once and derive some kind of temporary satisfaction from it, that performance of that action is more likely now to happen again. And then the pursuit is going to continue, and that pursuit of pleasure or release or whatever it is you're after is going to then generate its own ironies, okay? And there is the illusion of the punishment. So once you engage in something that is, self-defeating, self-destructive, something that lacks integrity, it is more likely then you will do it again. And so that direction of that decision keeps going. Okay? And so in order to turn off the karma, you would have to stop that process of chasing after things that you think are going to make you feel better. Okay? Because the more you chase after things that you think are going to make you feel better, the more miserable you get. Okay? Doesn't mean you don't try to better your life, okay? But there's a fundamental difference between simply doing what needs to be done every day and acting out of a sense of imaginary inadequacy. I'm not good enough yet. I'm not good enough yet. I need to get there. I need to be somewhere else. Anywhere but here. I need to go somewhere. I need to be somewhere. I need to be someone else. All these strivings, if you engage in them, they're going to continue and they're going to build and they're going to keep going. That's karma. Okay. So now the idea of karma as something that hits you back, like I hit the universe, it hits me back. Okay. That in itself is a type of karma. Okay. So if you engage in an idea of tit for tat, or eye for an eye, if you engage in this idea of it's me against the world, the more you engage in that, the more that againstism is going to persist. Okay? Now, that might make it feel like the universe is punishing you, but it's simply a continuation of that philosophy of againstism. If you engage in this idea of it's me against them, in other words, this versus that, and this is the way things are in the world. If this wants to get something done, it pushes against that. If this wants to get something done, it pushes against that. The more we engage in this, the more of it we get. Okay? So it's not really a matter of the universe hitting you back. It's simply you engaging in a cycle of againstism. And if you engage in a cycle of againstism, that cycle will very likely continue. Okay? So, yes, the universe isn't punishing you. You're not that special. So this brings up the general principle of there is no escape from karma. The escapism is itself the karma. Okay? So this idea of sidestepping karma, well, you can do it, okay? But if you try to outrun your karma, or you try to avoid it, that trying to get away from it is going to make it chase after you. Yeah. Okay, so if that's the case, if I can't try, how do I sidestep my karma? How does that work? Because the more I try to do it, the more I'm going to be pretty much trying to escape. And that escape is itself an activity that makes a monster out of what I'm trying to get away from. And then that monster chases after me. It gets stronger and stronger, okay? Karma is unidirectional. If I engage in escapism, that escapism is going to continue, and I'm going to keep running away from the monster. Okay. Karma. And so this brings us to the idea of fear and desire. What is it like then for you to sidestep the karma? You can't seem to do it intentionally, because doing it intentionally will perpetuate you trying to get away from all kinds of bad guys, monsters, things like that. Okay? Well, when you engage in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram and the middle pillar work, this sets up a sort of cosmology around you that automatically has you sidestepping karma without you trying to do so. Okay? Don't try to get away from karma, because the more you try to do that, the more you're going to reinforce the idea of karma as something to get away from. Okay. In essence, it doesn't even have any fundamental reality to it, this karma thing. Okay, it's just a perpetuation of something that went before. Okay, so when you do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, remember you're creating that sphere of sensation, and all that supposed negativity gets pushed out to the edges of your sphere of sensation, and then begins to play itself out like a movie. Okay, so all of the things that are troublesome to you, all of the karma that you're carrying with you, it now gets restructured and pushed out, and so you're until you're like living in a theater of the imagination. Okay, and so this idea of banishing so that all the negativity begins to arise outside your magic circle, that creates a situation in which karma is now free to play itself out as not you. Okay, and now you can observe it as it plays itself out. Okay, karma is something you bring with you in this body. It has 1 million or so years of conditioning going on. That's going to continue to go on there. You can't get away from that. Okay, and the more you try to get away from it, the worse you're going to make it get. But you can set up a schematic in which you can now observe as the karma plays itself out. And this sets you free eventually. Because it's like, oh, I'm not really all that stuff that's trying to work itself out. So all that stuff that I was supposedly had to spend several lifetimes working through because it's millions of years in the making is simply going to keep going beyond me. It's not really any of my business, this karma thing that keeps unfolding and playing itself out and trying to work itself out, okay? In essence, I am not that. Okay, I am simply the pure awareness that is capable of observing the karma as it plays itself out. Okay, and when that happens, the magic circle and this sort of cosmos that you build around yourself, which is based on astrology, which is based on Kabbalah, things like that, this cosmos that you build around yourself is going to make a distinction between the pure awareness and the display of karma that the body carries with it. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily free you, the human being, from its karma. The karma is going to continue. But the pure awareness, you begin to identify with that. It's like, oh, I am the pure awareness, which cannot be touched by karma. Okay? So if I'm able to do that, it seems like this body and this self that I'm living is still going to have to process all of its karma. Oh no. So what's the point? Why should I even bother? Well, when you are capable of viewing your karma or all the drama in your life as a sort of movie that's playing itself out on the edges of your sphere of sensation, you can now disidentify with it. And the disidentification from your body and from your life and from all the things that you think you are now aligns you with pure awareness, which cannot be touched by any of the karma. And so, yes, you still have fears, you still have desires, you still have a persona, but as this persona works through all of its shit, that process now begins to just show itself to you as just what it is. It's just, oh, this is the karma of the body playing itself out. It doesn't really have anything to do with me as pure awareness. Okay, and when that happens, you begin to see through your fears and your desires. You still have them, but they can't sink their teeth into you. They no longer stick to you. They just do their thing. And as they play themselves out, it's almost like being in a fun house where the fear where at first was so troubling to you and so absorbing and so distracting, now becomes a ride. And it's like, oh, let's watch this thing play itself out. It really doesn't have anything to do with me. Okay, that sort of freedom, it makes you able to act independent of karma. So in a sense, you are now sidestepping karma without even trying. But the interesting thing is that in order to sidestep it, you had to create a schematic around yourself where you allow it to happen. There's no escape, okay? But you observe it happening and you allow it to unfold, and almost dispassionately. Yeah, dispassionately. You just let it happen, okay? And you will still cry and you will still yell and you will, do all the things that normal humans do. But at the same time, you're like, wow, I'm really not being swept away by this. I'm still completely solid and real as the observer of this drama. Okay, and this changes the way you act. It also, you might notice that your psyche, when it's unenlightened, tends to vomit its karma all over everything, and then you identify with that karma, and then your life is screwed up. Okay. When you realize that the karma is basically just a movie playing itself out, and all these complexes need to come out and basically say something and express their concerns, you can then look at them and thank them for sharing, and they are not you and you are not them. Okay? And that creates a sort of free space in the midst of your magic circle, if you like, where the true manifestation, the true power of manifestation now takes over. And the things that you need as an evolving holistic being that has a mission that's more pure, let's say, those things can take over. And the karma will still continue to work itself out, okay? But in the midst of your magic circle, now you have this sort of clear lens that is created where you, through which you can also manifest reality. And so the things that you need as an evolving being will then start to materialize around you. Okay, so you can sidestep your karma, yes. But if you do it deliberately, like try to get away from it, that's just going to perpetuate the karma itself. Because when you try to get away from your karma, you're identifying yourself as a victim of it. And then, of course, you're the victim, the karma is the monster, and you have just reinforced the monster-victim scenario. All right. Let me see if I have anything else here. I don't think so. So I hope that's clear. It's really interesting too, because what I appear to be saying is that simply setting up this schematic with the pentagrams around you and the astrological universe and the sphere of sensation, these things are enough to bring on the enlightenment experience. Okay? You don't necessarily need to sit in meditation for hours every day. What is meditation anyway? It's like, oh, I'm trying to shut off my karma. I must concentrate really hard and shut down my karma. I must get away from my karma. I must escape the wheel of birth and death. All of this running away from karma is simply making it worse. Karma is unidirectional. You're going to just perpetuating what was already there. And it's almost like you want to cease to take so much of an interest in it and just observe, and then no longer allow the dramas that are playing themselves out to snare you and pull you along, and so that you identify with them. You're just basically watching them play themselves out, and in that process you become a better manifester. Okay, let's simplify that. I'm going to oversimplify it. Okay, so whereas before, your whole aura and your sphere of sensation were sort of polluted by karma working itself out all over you, okay? With the banishment and middle pillar work, you kind of push that karma out to the side, so to speak, so that you can now just observe it unfolding dispassionately. And in the process of pushing it aside, you sidestep it. You kind of avoid the sting of it. You still feel it, but now you can just observe those feelings. They come and go. They just come and go. They really don't have anything to do with you. Okay? And then in the process of that, the deeper mysteries begin to unfold. So you're not just somebody suffering from karma anymore. You're somebody who is allowing the karma to process itself while at the same time, the deeper self is now being given a lens through which to manifest reality. Okay, so instead of you being a train wreck that's come across one train wreck, and then the train just keeps coming and derailing and derailing and derailing, and you just let go of that whole process, or you just and just watch it unfold, realizing that no matter how bad this train wreck seems to get, none of this really has anything to do with me. Okay, there's a lot of danger in what I'm saying now too. Okay, so I wonder if you guys have any comments about how what I'm saying right now can so easily be misunderstood. Okay, and if you're going to respond to the video, I would suggest bearing one thing in mind. Okay, just keep in mind that there is no escape from karma. The escaping is itself the karma. So if you engage in escaping, then you're going to be perpetuating that whole model of, I need to get away from trouble, I need to get away from trouble, I need to get away from this. And then it becomes a reality. You've reified it. And now it's a monster chasing you. Okay. Does it mean you turn around and face the monster? Yes. But you need to have the right framework in which to do that. And that is the framework of banishment. So you now have disengaged from this process and now are just dispassionately observing it unfold. Okay. Yeah, there's all kinds of problems with what I'm saying right now, and the way that what I'm saying can be misinterpreted. I'm starting to become really wary of that. So let's see what happens in the comments. All right, until next time.